What if I told you that an entire army of 50,000 men, fully armed and battle-ready, marched into the desert and simply vanished? But they never reached their destination, they never returned, and they left no trace, no bodies, no weapons, no ruins, just gone. For over 2,500 years, historians, archaeologists, and adventurers have searched for any clue about what happened. Was the army buried alive by a sudden sandstorm, ambushed and erased from history, or did they stumble upon something they weren't meant to find? Welcome to Infinitia, Verity, where we uncover the truth behind history's strangest mysteries. Today, we unravel one of the greatest disappearances in history, the Lost Army of Cambyses. Before we unravel the mystery of the Lost Army, we need to understand the man who sent them into their doom, Cambyses II. Cambyses II was the son of Cyrus the Great, the legendary founder of the Persian Empire. He inherited the throne in 530 BCE and immediately launched an aggressive expansion campaign. His biggest target, Egypt, one of the last great civilizations outside Persian control. But Cambyses wasn't just a conqueror, he was ruthless, paranoid, and obsessed with proving his power. Herodotus, the Greek historian, describes Cambyses as a mad tyrant, consumed by rage and cruelty. He executed his own brother to eliminate rivals. He slaughtered sacred animals to insult Egyptian religion. He was convinced the gods were against him and wanted revenge. And this is what led to the doomed expedition. Cambyses had already conquered Egypt in 525 BCE, but the priests of the oracle of Amun in Siwa refused to acknowledge him as pharaoh. According to legend, the oracle prophesied Cambyses' downfall. Enraged, he ordered 50,000 men to march through the western desert, destroy the oracle, and prove he was above the gods. They never returned. In 524 BCE, Cambyses' army, 50,000 strong, left Thebes, modern Luxor, and began their march westward toward the Siwa oasis. At first, everything seemed normal. The army carried enough supplies and water for weeks, was well trained, equipped with Persian armor, bows and spears, and had guides familiar with the desert terrain, but then they vanished. The last known sighting of the army was in the Bahariya oasis, a critical stop before entering the vast desert. Herodotus, in 440 BCE, recorded the story told by Egyptian priests. The army marched for days into the great desert. One day, as they camped, a terrible wind arose. A storm of sand buried them where they stood, and they were seen no more. Some historians believe the army was swallowed by a cataclysmic sandstorm. The Sahara Desert experiences Khamsin winds, which can reach speeds of 100 kilometers per hour or 62 miles per hour and last for days. A storm of this magnitude could have completely buried an army under meters of sand. But here's the problem. No mass grave, weapons or artifacts have been found. A sandstorm alone wouldn't make thousands of men, weapons and supplies vanish without a trace. Wouldn't at least some survivors have returned? If nature didn't erase them, what did? If a sandstorm didn't erase them, then what about a human enemy? What if the army never even made it deep into the desert? What if they were ambushed and wiped out? Some historians believe that the Persians were not lost to nature, but to war. The Persian army was powerful, but they were not desert fighters. Egyptian rebels, led by priests of Amun, could have used guerrilla tactics. They would have known the terrain better and had the advantage. Diodorus Siculus, writing in the 1st century BCE, noted, "There are those who claim the Persian army fell not to the sands, but to the spears of men who lived in shadows." First, the Persian army marches deep into enemy territory. Then Egyptian forces hidden in the dunes launch a surprise attack. The Persians are outmaneuvered, unable to retreat in the shifting sands. Ultimately, the entire army is slaughtered, and their bodies are left to be buried by time. But here's the problem. If they were ambushed, why hasn't a single mass grave been found? If Egyptian rebels wiped them out, why did they never claim victory in historical records? Wouldn't Cambyses have sent another army to confirm their fate? Something still doesn't add up. If they weren't buried by sand, and they weren't killed by an enemy, did they stumble upon something even more dangerous? What if the Persian army didn't just disappear but stumbled upon something they weren't supposed to? The Siwa, our oasis, home to the Oracle of Amun, has always been shrouded in mystery. Ancient Egyptian texts warn of gods hidden in the sands, guarding secrets that should never be uncovered. Some theorists suggest the army accidentally uncovered an ancient underground structure and perished inside, activated a hidden Egyptian curse or tomb trap, was erased from history by forces beyond human understanding. Scene 5. The Ancient Alien Hypothesis. A fringe theory suggests that the Oracle of Amun was guarding something far older than Egypt, something not of this world. Strange discoveries in the Sahara Desert include magnetic anomalies that disrupt compasses, underground ruins and tunnels near Siwa, still unexplored, and stone formations resembling lost pyramids buried under the sand. Ancient Egyptian inscription, "Let no man disturb the sacred tombs, for the sands shall consume those who dare." What if Cambyses' army uncovered something that was meant to stay buried? Could they have been sealed away in a lost chamber, trapped underground, or wiped out by an unknown force? But here's the problem. No records from survivors exist. If any survived, why didn't they return to Persia? No major ruins have been linked directly to the army's disappearance. If something supernatural was involved, why hasn't it happened again? Was the army buried, slaughtered, or erased? Or did they find something that changed history forever and were never allowed to tell the story? For centuries, no trace of Cambyses' lost army was ever found, but in 2009 a breakthrough occurred. Italian archaeologists claimed to have discovered scattered bones in the western desert, matching Persian-era remains, arrowheads, braces, and armor fragments near an ancient water source, a mass grave, partially buried in rock formations. Scattered bones in the western desert, matching Persian-era remains, arrowheads, braces, and armor fragments near an ancient water source, a mass grave, partially buried in rock formations. But here's the catch. Too few remains for an army of 50,000, and it's the wrong location, far north of where they were last seen. Was this a real discovery or planted evidence? So what really happened? Buried by the sands? Possible, but where are their weapons? Ambushed and erased? Maybe, but why no records? Lost to something stranger? The desert still hides its secrets. Final thought, the Sahara keeps its dead well. Perhaps Cambyses' army is still out there waiting to be uncovered. What do you think happened? Drop your theories in the comments. Subscribe to Infinitia Verity for more lost history. Next episode, the vanishing village of Anjikuni, a town that ceased to exist overnight.